Ladies and gentlemen, gather close. Let's talk about entitlement, the grand illusion, the biggest joke of them all. There's a certain kind of arrogance, a confidence so bloated, it forgets the very rules of existence. It convinces someone they can stomp, shout, tear you down piece by piece, all while expecting you to just stand there and take it. They believe they can stretch your patience like an elastic band, and when it snaps, they are the ones who call it betrayal. That's the mindset we're dealing with today. People so far gone into their self-righteous delusions that they can't even fathom what it means to respect another human being. Their arrogance doesn't even stop at having the audacity to hurt you. No, it goes further. It paints them as the victim when you finally draw a line in the sand. What happens when you stop tolerating their abuse? What happens when you refuse to be the punching bag for their egos? Well, I'll tell you what happens. Their fragile world crashes down upon them like 1,000 shards of glass. Suddenly, their towering sense of superiority crumbles to dust. Their entitlement becomes an embarrassing reminder of their own weakness, and their twisted sense of control dissipates into thin air. They can't fathom it at first because they've never been told no. They've never been forced to deal with the consequences of their actions. It's a bitter pill to swallow for them, but it's the truth of the matter. When you finally stop being a passive participant in their toxicity, they start to see that they were never in control to begin with. Their ego is shattered because you refuse to tolerate their constant abuse. It's not just their pride that takes a hit, it's their entire worldview that collapses. They built themselves up on the backs of others suffering, on the idea that they could walk through life using people as stepping stones, and when you stop being their stepping stone, they find themselves in free fall. The only thing holding them up was their illusion of power, and once that is gone, they're left to face the cold reality that their entitlement was nothing more than a delusion. What's most fascinating about this is how they react to it. You'd think a person's ego would be crushed quietly in the face of such rejection, but instead, it's loud, it's obnoxious, and it's full of desperate attempts to regain control. They'll try to manipulate guilt. They'll try to twist the narrative and paint you as the villain for daring to stand up for yourself. They'll scream and shout. They'll try every trick in the book to force you back into submission, but none of it will work. The damage has been done, and the cracks in their armor are too deep to repair. They can't comprehend that their power over you was never real. They'll try to twist your actions into something negative. They'll say you're weak for standing your ground, when the truth is the opposite. The weakness lies in their need to tear you down in the first place. They think by controlling you, by belittling you, they somehow become stronger, but in reality, they only expose their own fragility. They are the ones who need validation at every turn. They are the ones who thrive off making others feel small to boost their own image. The moment you stop giving them that validation, you shatter their sense of self, and they have no idea how to cope with it. You see, their arrogance isn't a sign of strength, it's a sign of deep insecurity. The louder they boast, the more desperate they become for confirmation that they matter. And when you stop giving them that, when you stop tolerating their abuse, they're left with nothing but the haunting silence of their own inadequacies. They can no longer hide behind their insults, their cruelty, their lies, because you've seen them for what they really are, and you no longer care. And that's the power of walking away. That's the power of refusing to tolerate their abuse. You don't have to scream. You don't have to lash out. All you have to do is stand firm and make it clear that their treatment of you is unacceptable. You don't have to prove anything to them, because the truth is already out there in plain sight. You've shown them who you are not, by arguing, not by fighting, but by simply refusing to let them continue to use you as a doormat. That is where your power lies. They will try to make you feel guilty for this. They will try to turn the tables on you. but don't let them. The fact that they are trying to manipulate you into feeling bad about standing up for yourself is proof of their weakness. They know deep down that they've lost the upper hand. They know deep down that they are no longer in control, and so they will try every dirty trick to get you back under their thumb. But you have to remain steadfast. Their ego is fragile, and it will not withstand the pressure of your resolve. The real tragedy of their entitlement is that they never stop to question themselves. They never stop to ask why they need to degrade others in order to feel important. They never stop to consider the damage they cause along the way. They live in their own little bubble where their every whim is catered to by those around them. But what happens when you pop that bubble? What happens when you say enough is enough? They lose their sense of self. They lose their grip on reality, and they're left flailing in a world that doesn't bend to their will anymore. And the most frustrating part is that these people will never truly understand why they've lost their hold on you. They will never understand that it's not because you've become weak, it's because you finally realized your worth. They thought you would always tolerate their cruelty because that's what they were used to. They thought you would always be there to pick up the pieces when they decided to tear you down. But now they see you standing tall, and they can't handle it. They thought they could break you, but they were wrong. And that's where the real lesson lies. Their ego is shattered because you refuse to let them continue to treat you like nothing. You refuse to allow them to walk all over you, and now they have to face the consequences. They thought they had power over you, but in reality, it was always you who held the power. It was always you who had the strength to stand up for yourself, even when they tried to make you doubt it. In the end, they will try to convince themselves that they've done nothing wrong, that they've been justified in their actions, but the truth is undeniable. The truth is that their ego was a house built on sand, and it crumbled the moment you stopped tolerating their abuse. The truth is that their entitlement was a mask they wore to hide the fact that they are weak and insecure beneath the surface. And now that mask is gone, and they are left exposed for all to see. So when you look at them, when you hear their cries of victimhood, when they try to make you feel guilty for standing up for yourself, remember this: they have lost. They have lost because they never understood what true strength looks like. They thought they could break you. They thought they could control you, but they were wrong. You are not their punching bag. You are not their toy to play with, and you are not there to manipulate. You are a person with your own power, your own dignity, and your own worth. And the moment you realize that the moment you stop tolerating their abuse is the moment they lose. So never forget this truth. Their ego is shattered, not because you did something wrong, but because you refuse to let them keep hurting you. You refuse to let them get away with their cruelty. And in doing so, you proved to them and to yourself that you are stronger than they will ever be. They can shout, they can scream, they can try to manipulate and control, but none of it will matter, because the moment you stand up for yourself, you are already victorious. Their ego is shattered because you refuse to tolerate their abuse. And that is the most powerful victory of all. The victory that comes not from breaking someone else, but from breaking free from their grip. You've learned something they will never understand, that the true source of power lies within your ability to set boundaries, to define what is acceptable in your life, and to refuse to tolerate anyone who seeks to strip you of your dignity. The greatest weapon you have is not your ability to hurt them back, but your ability to stand tall in the face of their efforts to break you. You've learned that silence is not a submission, but a declaration of strength, and walking away isn't a sign of weakness, but an act of self-preservation. The reason why their ego is shattered when you stop tolerating their abuse is because they can no longer justify their actions. They can no longer claim superiority when their power over you is gone. Their sense of entitlement, the very thing that made them believe they could treat you however they wanted, collapses under the weight of your resistance. They live in a world where they expect everyone to bow to their whims, to accept their demands, and to put up with their toxic behavior. And when you no longer play along, it forces them to confront an uncomfortable truth about themselves. They were never in control. It was you all along. They were able to manipulate your emotions, to wear you down, and to take advantage of your kindness, your empathy, your patience. But once you woke up to the fact that your worth is not tied to their approval or their mistreatment, you broke free from the chains they placed on you. This isn't about revenge, it's about reclaiming your power. The victory lies not in proving them wrong, but in realizing that you don't need their validation, their permission, or their approval to be whole. It's about knowing that you are enough, regardless of how they try to make you feel small or unworthy. Every time they tried to tear you down, every time they attempted to crush your spirit, you became stronger, more resolute in your refusal to allow them to control you. And that's the point they will never comprehend. The more they push, the more they expose their own fragility, their aggression, their cruelty, their entitlement, all stem from the same well of insecurity. They lash out because they are afraid of losing their power, afraid of being exposed for the weak, pathetic individuals they are at their core. When you stop tolerating their abuse, you shatter their ego, but you also shatter the illusion they've been living in. Their life was built on the premise that they could dictate the terms, that they could manipulate, belittle, and dominate those around them, and then no one would challenge their authority. And when you challenge them, when you stop being their victim, they are forced to look in the mirror and face the person they've become, the person they hoped no one would ever see. They are exposed for what they really are. People who lack the courage to face their own demons, who use others as a way to prop up their fragile sense of self-worth. The anger they feel when you stop tolerating them is not just anger at you, it's self-loathing. It's a fury aimed at themselves because they've failed to break you. They'll scream, they'll manipulate, they'll use every trick in the book to try to get you back under their thumb, but none of it will work because you've already made the most important decision of all. You've chosen yourself. You've chosen your peace over their chaos, your integrity over their lies, and your happiness over their control. That's the victory they can never take away from you. They'll try to convince themselves that you are the problem, that you are too sensitive, too emotional, too fragile to handle the truth of their cruelty. But they can't hide behind those excuses for long. Their need to tear you down was never about you. It was always about them. It was always about their inability to confront their own flaws, their own failures, their own deep-seated fears. They are too afraid to look inside themselves, to acknowledge the emptiness that drives their actions, so they project that emptiness onto others, trying to fill it by making others feel inferior. And when you refuse to tolerate their abuse, you deny them that satisfaction. You deny them the power to control how you feel, how you view yourself. You stop giving them the fuel they need to keep going. Their entire existence depends on the idea that they can make others feel small, insignificant, and dependent on their approval. Once that idea is challenged, once you stop playing their game, they are forced to face the fact that their sense of power was never real. It was a mask, a facade designed to hide the reality of who they are. Someone who is terrified of being exposed for the weak, insecure person they truly are. They'll try to shift the blame onto you. They'll accuse you of being petty, of overreacting, of not being able to take a joke or handle the truth. But their words are hollow. They are only trying to deflect from the fact that their power is slipping through their fingers, that the foundation of their ego is eroding. They will try to paint themselves as the victim, as the person who was wronged, because they cannot bear the thought of being seen for what they really are, a person who thrives on controlling others, who feeds off the misery they create. But no matter how hard they try to twist the narrative, the truth is clear. You are the one who is in control now. You are the one who holds the power, and they can no longer dictate how you live, how you feel, or how you perceive yourself. The process of standing up for yourself, of refusing to tolerate their abuse, is not a moment of weakness. It's a declaration of your strength. It is the moment when you realize that you are not defined by the way others treat you. You are defined by the way you treat yourself, by the way you protect your own peace and happiness. It's the moment when you stop giving them the power to dictate your worth. You stop allowing them to manipulate your emotions, to control your actions, and to wear you down with their endless demands. And in that moment, you take back what they tried to steal from you: your dignity, your sense of self, and your peace of mind. The destruction of their ego is not something you should feel guilty about. It's not something you should apologize for. Their ego was never built on solid ground. It was built on the foundation of lies, manipulation, and abuse. And when you refuse to tolerate that, when you stand up for yourself and demand respect, you are not doing anything wrong. You are simply refusing to be complicit in their cruelty. You are simply refusing to let them dictate how you feel, how you live, and how you see yourself. And in doing so, you set yourself free. The hardest part of this process is understanding that their reactions are not about you. When they lash out, when they try to manipulate you, when they try to guilt trip you into submission, remember this: it is not about your behavior. It is about their inability to control you. They will try everything they can to make you feel guilty, to make you question your decision, but don't let them. Stand firm in the knowledge that you did nothing wrong by refusing to tolerate their abuse. You are not the problem. They are. And the moment you realize that, you'll see them for what they really are: broken, insecure, and desperate for control. In the end, it's not about them anymore. It's about you. It's about your strength, your ability to stand up for yourself, and your refusal to allow anyone to treat you with disrespect. When you refuse to tolerate their abuse, you show them and the world that you are no longer a victim of their toxic behavior. You are the one in control now, and that is the most powerful victory of all. It is a victory that transcends anything they can throw at you, because it is a victory over your own limitations, fears, and self-doubt. It is a victory that is not won by defeating them, but by refusing to be their victim. When you stand your ground and stop tolerating their abuse, you take back control of your own life. You stop allowing them to dictate how you feel, how you think, how you behave. You stop allowing them to define your worth based on their cruelty, their judgments, and their manipulations. In the end, their ego shatters because it was built on a foundation of weakness. They were never truly strong. Their strength was borrowed from the vulnerability of others. Their control over you was only ever as strong as your willingness to tolerate their mistreatment. The moment you stopped being willing to endure their behavior, that foundation crumbled, and they were exposed for the weak, insecure people they are. They live in a world where everything is a power struggle, where every interaction is about asserting dominance, but they never understood that true power comes from within, from the ability to stand up for yourself and set boundaries, from the refusal to be controlled by someone else's insecurities and toxic needs. They believed they could break you because they couldn't fathom that someone could stand against them without being destroyed. But you have proved them wrong. You have shown them that their words, their manipulations, their insults, and their threats mean nothing when you refuse to give them power. The fact that they can no longer control you is the very thing that drives them mad. They don't know how to exist in a world where they can't dominate the people around them. When you reject their attempts to control you, they are left defenseless, vulnerable, and exposed. They have no strategy, no backup plan, because they were never taught how to exist without using others for their own gain. And that's where the truth is revealed. They were never as powerful as they thought they were. They were never as untouchable as they pretended to be. All along, they were standing on shaky ground, depending on you to allow them to abuse you. The moment you say no more, everything they've built, everything they've used to prop themselves up, comes crumbling down. Their inflated sense of self is nothing but a fragile shell that was holding together their deep fears, their deep insecurities, and their need to control others. Once you stop tolerating their abuse, that shell breaks apart, and they are left standing naked before the truth. They are nothing without their manipulation of others. This is a victory not just for you, but for everyone who has been subjected to their abuse. By refusing to tolerate their behavior, you are shining a light on their toxic ways, forcing them to face what they've done, and giving others permission to do the same. Your decision to stop tolerating their abuse sends a message to the world that it's not okay for anyone to treat others with disrespect. It's a statement that sets a standard, a line that cannot be crossed. You're not just standing up for yourself, you are standing up for everyone who has ever been manipulated, belittled, or hurt by them. By refusing to accept their abuse, you give others the strength to do the same. You create a ripple effect that can bring about change, not just in your own life, but in the lives of those who witness your strength. Their reaction to your refusal to tolerate them will speak volumes about their character. They will try to gaslight you, to manipulate you into thinking that you are the problem. They will twist the facts, rewrite the narrative, and attempt to make you feel guilty for standing up for yourself. But the truth is clear. They are the ones who have wronged you. They are the ones who have disrespected you, degraded you, and abused you. And now, they are trying to turn the tables, hoping that you will fall for their lies and return to the position where they can control you. But you must not let them. You must not let their lies, their guilt trips, or their attempts at manipulation pull you back into their toxic web. Instead, you need to embrace the victory you've achieved. You've taken control of your own life, your own sense of self-worth, and your own happiness. You've made a decision to no longer be a victim of their abuse. You've realized that their need for control is not a reflection of your value, but a reflection of their weakness. You've learned that you are enough, that you are worthy of respect and kindness, and that you deserve to be treated with dignity. That is the victory they will never take from you. They can try to destroy your peace, but they will fail. Because the moment you stop allowing them to abuse you is the moment you reclaim your peace, your confidence, and your sense of self. The victory you've won is the victory of self-respect. You've learned to love yourself enough to say no to anyone who seeks to harm you. You've learned that your value is not dependent on the opinions or treatment of others. You've realized that you're not a pawn in anyone else's game. You are your own person, and you will no longer allow anyone to diminish your worth. That is the victory that matters. And that is the victory that will make you stronger with each passing day. And as you continue to walk this path of self-empowerment, you will find that the people who once tried to control you will begin to show their true colors. You will see them for what they really are. People who are so insecure, so fragile, and so desperate for control that they will try anything to get it back. But you will also see how powerless they are. Their anger, their attempts to manipulate, their desperate pleas for your attention will all seem so petty and weak. They will no longer have the power to affect you because you have taken that power back. What's more, you'll find that as you stop tolerating their abuse, you will begin to attract healthier relationships. You will find people who respect you, who value you for who you are, and who treat you with the kindness and empathy you deserve. You'll see that there are people out there who will never try to tear you down, who will never belittle you, and who will never make you feel small. And that's the kind of energy you need in your life. The more you distance yourself from those who seek to harm you, the more space you create for the people who will lift you up, support you, and walk beside you. By refusing to tolerate their abuse, you have created room for growth, for healing, and for peace. You've shown yourself that you can overcome anything, that you can stand tall in the face of adversity, and that no one can take away your worth unless you let them. And once you've learned that, you will never go back. You will never allow anyone to treat you as less than what you are, a person deserving of love, respect, and dignity. Their ego is shattered because they can no longer use you to inflate their sense of self. They can no longer manipulate your emotions to get what they want. They can no longer twist the truth to make themselves feel superior. And that is the most powerful victory of all. You didn't have to destroy them to win. You simply had to stop allowing them to destroy you. And in doing so, you have taken back control of your own life, your own happiness, and your own future. You have shown the world that no one, no matter how powerful they may seem, has the right to control you or to abuse you. You have shown them that their manipulation will not work, their lies will not prevail, and their ego will be shattered every time you stand up for yourself. And that, my friends, is a victory they can never take from you. In conclusion, the true power lies in your ability to recognize your worth and stand firm in your decision to no longer tolerate abuse. The moment you stop allowing someone to manipulate, belittle, or control you, you reclaim the most valuable possession you have, your peace of mind and your dignity. Their ego shatters not because you destroy them, but because you refuse to be their victim. You take away the power they once held over you and expose the fragility of their control. This journey isn't about seeking revenge or proving a point. It's about finding strength within yourself, embracing your boundaries, and making the decision that you will no longer be at the mercy of anyone else's insecurities or cruelty. You've chosen to prioritize your mental, emotional, and physical well-being above all else. You've learned that your worth isn't determined by anyone's treatment of you, and that you have the right to demand respect, kindness, and fairness in all your relationships. And while they may try to twist the narrative or make you feel guilty for standing up for yourself, the truth is clear. You are no longer their pawn. You are free, you are powerful, and you are worthy of nothing less than the peace and respect that comes from honoring your own boundaries. Their shattered ego is a testament to your strength, your resilience, and your unwavering commitment to never letting anyone strip away your sense of self. The victory you've won is not one of destruction, but one of liberation. You've broken free from their control and reclaimed your life. And as you continue on this path, you will find that there is so much more waiting for you. True relationships, genuine connections, and a life filled with respect and love. You will no longer waste time on those who seek to tear you down. You will rise above their cruelty and shine in your own light, knowing that you are enough and that you are deserving of everything good that life has to offer.